everyone, this is Linda, and we're going to kind of take a bunch of your sewing machine motifs that are available in your software in order to create rows and rows of sewing machine stitches and create very unique things. This is a combination of a couple of things. We're going to use the border tab and we're going to create some rows of stitches, but then we're also going to use that border tab and we're going to come up with a combination of a couple of different sewing machine stitches and then use Encore. Now Encore is featured in the June 2020 Premiere Plus, the software newsletter that just came out, and so it's something to also look at. I'm going to show you how we can put some bling in here, and you can do that using the decoration tab. So let's get started. I'm going to bring in sewing machine stitches here in order to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the border tab, and the length of my hoop is 240, because remember it's 150 this way and 240 this way. So I'm going to change this length and I'm going to change that to 240. And then I want to go and find some motifs. So I'm going to select motif. And I'm going to come in here and under it to Husqvarna Viking. And then we're going to change the category and we're going to change it to category E. And we are going to choose pattern number 9. So pattern number 9 is this one here. I'm not going to change anything here. I'm going to change it to a triple just so that it kind of looks a little bit more like an embroidery rather than just a running stitch. So I'm going to change it to triple and we're going to do OK. And because I chose 240, I can then hit apply. And it's going to go across the center of my screen. Now I want to add another piece in here so I can kind of make it look a little bit more like a flower. So all I have to do is I have this one, and I can do on my keyboard do Control D, which it doesn't duplicate. Now one of the things you want to take into consideration when you're doing this is going to start sewing from the left and go to the right, and this one is going to go from the left over to the right, and we don't want it to do that. We actually want it to sew from left to right and then right to left. So I want to take this one and I can actually go and I can hit my right mouse. I can go to properties and I'm going to turn this completely around. So 90 would make it go just a quarter of the way. 180 would make it go the full all the way around, and it's going to flip it. So if you look, when I go to sew this out, now I need to make sure that in order to see how this is going to sew out, that everything is inside the hoop. If you notice, I have circles here and I have squares there. So I could actually come in here and I could come back to the home tab and I can say move into hoop. So now I have squares. So now let's watch this sew out so you can see how this works. So it's going to start sewing from the left and then it's going to sew from the right. So it's going to kind of keep us from having jump stitches. So let's combine those two so that they are actually one. So I can hold my control key and the letter A and it combines them or makes a group of them, but now I'm going to say combine, and I'm going to say combine selected because that's what you want to get in the habit of. And we're going to keep that one kind of in the center, and I could go and I could say alignment and center in the hoop and it could be centered. So see how it makes a nice little flower there, and we're going to leave it just like that, and then we're going to add some more. So we're going to make sure nothing is selected. We're going to go to the border tab, and then I'm going to leave the length again at 240, and this time we're going to pick on again, Husqvarna Viking, the crafting stitches, and then I'm going to pick on number 39. 39. Oops. 39. And again, I want to leave it at triple, and I'm not going to do anything else with the changes. I'm going to leave it just like it is, and I'm going to hit OK, make sure nothing is selected by clicking away from it, and I'm going to hit apply. It's going to create these nice little stitches. Now, again, this one's going to sew from the left to the right and the right to the left. So this one I want to start sewing on the left side and move to the right. But I want to duplicate this so I actually have a little different effect. So I'm going to right mouse, or I could do Control D. I have options. And then I need to turn this right mouse, properties. I'm going to turn this to 180. I'm going to do OK. And I'm going to move this guy so he's just right on top. Now to help me line that up so that it's nice and it looks pretty good, I'm going to actually come in here and I want to make sure that they're just about touching. And I can zoom in to kind of see that. So they are touching. Now I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to go to the Home tab, and I want to select both of these. So I already have one selected. I'm going to hold my Control key, and I'm going to select the second one, and I have those both selected. I can click on Alignment. I can say I want them to align in the center upon each other, and then I can tell it that I want to move it in and move it into the hoop. So now I have squares here on the corners, and I also want to combine selected. I don't want it to combine with this one. I need this one, and then I'm going to make a duplicate. So this is going to show left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left. So I need to select this one. I'm going to do a Control D, which is a duplicate, and I'm going to move that one down here. So it's kind of, and it doesn't really matter because we're going to fix these here in a little bit about where they're sitting, but we kind of want the general idea of where they're going to be. Now, the other one I want to do is I'm actually going to make another little daisy here. So we're going to go, and we're going to again go to the border tab, and we're going to leave it at 240, and I'm going to do the select motif. And this time I want heirloom stitches. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick on heirloom stitches. And then I'm going to pick on stitch number 19. Make sure it's still a triple. I'm going to do OK. I'm going to hit apply. Now, you notice that there's just this little piece that's down there on the side, and that's because of it's a sewing machine. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to select ungroup, or not to have them selected. So I need to hit undo. I'm going to just show you how to do that. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to make sure nothing has selected here, and I'm going to hit apply again. It's all about playing with our stitches and doing some different things. So I want this one. I'm going to line him up about here, and I need to get rid of this extra stitch because you notice if I deselect this, see I've got this stitch here, but I don't have it at the other end, and I really don't want that. It's because it fit it right into that 240 hoop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, with that selected, I'm going to go to the Modify tab, and I'm going to zoom into this area here. And I'm going to hit my magnifying glass and then click, hold, and drag a box. And I want to get rid of this little row of stitches here. So what I need to do is I can actually click on Freehand Point Select, which is the one I really kind of like. And I'm going to start click once, and I'm going to click. And what you want to pay attention to is that it doesn't grab too far down. And if you notice, it isn't grabbing this one. But if you're not sure, you can always hit the Control key and reselect that. And if I move it, it's going to put it into a box. So it makes a very sharp point. You have to move it. Once you hit that Control key, you have to move it again. I'm going to hit my right mouse button, and I'm going to click on Delete. And you notice that there still looks like there's a stitch there. We're going to click on Select Stitches, and we're going to come down here to the end, and we're going to slide this thing back all the way back down here. And so now it looks nice and clean. And or at least we don't have this big long stitch. What happens is because that was the beginning stitch, it always has to be there. So I had to take it and drag it further in. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back over. It doesn't matter if I'm in the border tab, and I'm going to zoom out. And then I want to take this one, and I can and you notice it's now really kind of short, and I can actually make it so it's a little bit longer. You don't want to do this very often with decorative stitches because it starts to distort the stitches, but we're going to do that real quick. I'm just going to do a Control and a semicolon, and if you notice, I now have blue boxes here on the end, and I actually want to just widen it just a little bit. I can hit right mouse, I'm going to hit Properties, and I want to widen it so it's closer to the 240. I don't want it to get taller, I just wanted to get wider. So I want to make sure Proportional is unselected, and I'm just going to increase this just a little bit. Oh, see, that's going to be too much. I'm going to go to 239.1. And it will distort it just a little bit, but I think you're not going to really notice that much because it's a sewing machine stitch and we're triple stitching this. So I want to take this and I want to duplicate it. So I'm going to Control D, and I need to flip this guy around. So I'm going to right mouse, I'm going to hit Properties, and I'm going to do 180. And I'm going to move that right there so he's right there next to each other. And if you want to zoom in, so if you can kind of see a little bit closer about whether they're really touching or not. And that's pretty good. So I'm going to zoom back out. And I need to get those two combined. So I'm going to use my control key, and I'm going to, I've got the top one selected. I'm going to click on the next one. I need to combine those. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to combine and combine selected. So those two are now selected. And I'm going to say move into hoop. So see how it kind of covers all the way to the edge, and it's still square boxes. And I need to take this one, and I'm going to move him down here. So he's just about there. And I might have to move into hoop a little bit again. And I want to duplicate that on the other side. So I'm going to do a Control D, which is going to duplicate it. And I'm going to put it here. Again, this one is going to start sewing here. It's going to go to here. It's going to go to here. And it's going to go to here. So we're still good. Left, right, right, left. All right, now I want to add this other area of stitches right along in here. And so I'm going to go back to the border tab. And because I only want one repeat of each of these, I'm going to actually select repeats, and I'm going to do one. And I'm going to select motif. And this time I need to, I'm going to choose crafting stitches again, which is menu E, and I want design number 12, which is the little flower. I'm going to do OK, and again, it's still a triple, and I'm going to hit apply. Oh, you see what I did again? It's all about learning. Making sure nothing is selected, hit apply, it will put it to the center, and I'm going to move him up just so that I can kind of see what's going on. And now I want to add another little piece here. So this is really important to remember when you're doing Encore, because that's what we're going to do this one with, is that the first stitch is the important one, because that's the one that's going to repeat. It's going to do a first stitch, second stitch, second stitch, and if you do an odd number, and you'll see that here in a second. So the next one, I want another repeat, but I only want one. Make sure nothing is selected again. I'm going to hit select motif, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to pick on heirloom stitches. And then it's stitch number 35. This one. Do OK. Make sure nothing is selected. I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to take him, I'm going to move him really close. So I might want to zoom in so I can actually see how this is matching up together. So I'm going to get this so he's really right there next to that one. Now I'm going to take this and I want to put this into Encore. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to come, one of the ways you can do this is you can hold your control key and that one's selected. I'm going to select this other one. And then I'm going to go to Encore. I want a line selected this time, straight line, right here. And this time I want to do 19 repeats. It's important that this is what you choose because you need an odd number. And I see that it's not going to go quite to the edge, but I think for this purpose, I think it's going to be just fine. And make sure when you see it, you've got that preview, you hit apply, and now you have it. Now I want to duplicate that one. Now, again, we're going to do a Control D, and I'm going to move him down here. Now I want these all to line up one underneath each other. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do a Control A. I'm going to go to the Home tab. And I want to make sure that they're lined up center all the way down. So I'm going to hit alignment and I'm going to click on horizontal alignment and I'm going to say align center. So now they're all lined up and down from each other across the center point. Now I want to pay attention to where this first one is and I want to get it so it's right there on the very edge. And this one, so it's, I'm following that kind of grid line. Now I can do a Control A again. And now I can evenly space them by hitting alignment and vertical alignment and distribute vertically. So now they are evenly spaced. Now let's watch this sew out so that we can see how things are going to work. So we're going to hit this and we're going to watch it play. So it's going to start sewing in the center. It's left to right. It's going to go. And watching it sew. I'm watching it so. Oh, but this row and this row. If you notice, this one started sewing on the left to the right, which was really great, but we really don't want a jump stitch that goes from here to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to this line and I'm going to flip him. So I'm going to go down here and I can make sure that that one is selected by making sure nothing is selected. Select that one. I can do a right mouse button. I'm going to do properties and I'm going to do 180. Okay, so now I can watch it sew again. And you can speed this up and watch it go pretty fast. The other thing you could do is you could actually put these in order so that that one sews first, this one sews first. I kind of like it so that it starts in the center and goes out, and then it goes and does the next one and does the next one, so that what happens is it kind of moves back and forth. But if you wanted to, so that this one stitched first and this one stitched second and this one, what you can do is you can actually come to the home tab and we're going to do layout order and you can sit there and play. Move, I want that one moved to the back and I want to click on this one and then say move to back, and I'm going to click on this one and I'm move to back. I'm going to click on this one and say move to back. I'm going to click on this one, move to back, this one, move to back, this one, and move to back. And so now what happens when I sew this out is it's actually going to start sewing. And again, you want to pay attention to how this sews, because what happened is because I moved this one and now it's going to sew here to here and then it's going to start sewing way over here, and I don't want that to happen now. So I actually want that to flip again. So I can click on this one, right mouse, and I can click on properties, and I'm going to move that back to 0. And now I can flip and pay attention to what's going to happen is this one's going to sew here, and then it's going to jump down here. So I have to play with all of those and flip them around. So those are one of the things you have to pay attention to when you start flipping and putting these out of into a different order. So I'm going to hit undo, and I'm going to get back to where they were so that when they sew out, it should start in the center, move out, about. Went one too far, so I'm going to click this one, and I'm going to do right mouse, and I'm going to click on properties, and I'm going to do 180. Oh. Click on this one, right mouse, properties. I need to turn it 180. Okay. So again, it's back to sewing here. So now I'm ready and I can send it out for sewing. But let's say I wanted to add a little bling in here. So I'm going to go over to decoration, and I found that it was just as easy just to come in here and I could select whichever piece of bling I wanted, and I could change the size. Let's go change this to a smaller size. So I'm going to go into a 5, and I could set it up for how far apart everything was, but I found it was just as easy because all I have to do, I don't want it to do anything specific. I just wanted to see what this was going to look like with a little bling in here. And I'm going to come across and I'm going to select this. Now the other thing I could do is I could actually go and say, I could do a measurement from this point to this point, and I'm trying to remember let's just say it was 17, so I could do a draw line here, and I could still say that one, and this was 17 or thereabouts. Okay, and I could do here and do a here, right mouse, and it would throw them all in there, which would be close to what they were, so I could actually see what that was going to look like with a little bit of bling. So it's just another option you have. So don't forget to save it and export it. Now, because I don't care about the bling, I can do that after the fact. I could have, though, gone in here and said, export a decoration template. I don't need to do that because these are pretty obvious where I want them. It's not like you were trying to place them up here and all the way around. So I hope you have some fun doing some stitch stacking and see how things turn out. Thanks.